Cantorial was originally not a show I really liked. I think I read the script the first time through and actually called Jamie and went, what the hell were you all thinking? But I realized a week and a half later, oddly enough, I was still thinking about the show. And that's always kind of a good thing. So I went back and reread the script and kind of realized, I think at that time, I wanted the show to be something other than what it was. But what it is really a special show. I think you think of in our little ad, a ghost story. I'm not sure that's the best advertisement for it. I'm actually calling it a spiritual journey. Which kind of ties in a ghost story, but it also ties in the themes throughout the show. But like I said, a week and a half after reading the show, I was still really strongly thinking about it, thinking about the themes. Ideas were popping in my head, and I went, no, let's go back and relook at this show again. And I did, and applied for the show. And it's kind of developed even more since then, which is always kind of fun. And developed even more last weekend. Over the weekend, I went up to New York and actually took a tour of the Lower East Side. It was actually a walking food tour where you got to taste different samples of food. If I had known that in high school, that you could learn history from eating food, I think I would have done a lot better. It's a great learning experience. So basically, a little history on Lower East Side, New York. It was one of the original communities in New York. But it was always lower class, working class, and it was always the area where immigration settled. One of the earliest immigrations was the Germans, and it was known as like a little German town at that point. After that, around the turn of the century, is when the Jewish immigrants started moving in. By 1910, the Lower East Side had the largest Jewish community in the United States. Because of strict rules in the Jewish faith, they could not ride on the Sabbath. So in order for them to get to their synagogues, they had to be able to walk. So that's why in the Lower East Side, there were so many synagogues built. Now, as the Germans had moved out, the Jewish moved in, it continued to change through the century. By the time our play comes around, and we are setting this play in 1980s, which was when it originally premiered. We will be doing it in the 80s time period. By the time the 80s came around, the Lower East Side had a strong Japanese/Asian influence. What happened was, with a lot of these synagogues, as they closed up, or as the laws became more relaxed and they decided they could, ride in a car or the subway and not go to hell for doing it, synagogues started closing, they were sold off, a lot of them were torn down, or they were converted into apartments/businesses. And that's kind of where our play starts. If you look at the Lower East Side now, it's kind of got a little bit more of an Latin flavor now. Dominion Republic is kind of moving in. So it's just showing that it's continuing to change. And that continuing to change is the major theme that I want to tell in this story. And it will be shown through our set design, our costume design, and through the relationships of the characters.